Welcome to the Metal Bob Live Podcast Best of 2020 show, brought to you by Legend Picks and also artist Jeremiah Kalleck. You can find links to our sponsors at the Metal Bob Live website. There you can also find links to the latest Metal Bob gear, including shirts, hoodies, and more. On today's show, the Best of 2020, we are going to give you our pick for Song of the Year, Hard Rock Song of the Year, and also Album of the Year. So sit back, have a listen, and enjoy the show. Thank you. All right, everyone, Metal Bob here. How's everybody doing? Thank you so much for joining me for the Metal Bob Live Podcast Best of 2020. We are going to run down the Hard Rock Song of the Year. We are also going to tell you our Song of the Year, and we're also going to give you our top 3 albums of the year, but there can only be one here at the Metal Bob Live Podcast. But first, I'd like to take this time to thank all the fans for their support over the last year. We're looking forward to an even bigger 2021. I would like to give a big thanks to our sponsors, Legend Picks, and also artist Jeremiah Kalleck, who is the producer here at the Metal Bob Live Podcast. Thank you for all you do. So let's get to it. Hard Rock Song of the Year goes to one of my all-time favorite bands. Actually, first band I ever seen live. LA Guns for the song Let You Down. This song has been out now, not quite a year, but it will be on their newest album that will be released sometime this year. Once again, the Hard Rock Song of the Year from the Metal Bob Live Podcast is from LA Guns. It's called Let You Down. Congratulations, Tracy, Phil, and the boys for winning the Metal Bob Live Podcast Hard Rock Song of the Year. All right, so that brings us to Song of the Year, and I am super stoked to announce this because this was a great tribute to one of the all-time great artists and one of the all-time great songwriters, Mr. John Prine. And I know that just gave it away, but that's okay. So from the Metal Bob Live Podcast, the 2020 Song of the Year goes to Mr. Charlie Overbey for Ode to John Prine. What a great song. The world really needed a song like this, and Charlie delivered, man, with a great tribute to Mr. John Prine. I would also like to tell you, everyone that played on this track, LP, she lended her vocals, did a hell of a job. Mr. Jimmy Vivino, great guitar player. Mr. Daryl Jones from the Rolling Stones. Steve Ferroni from Tom Petty. The Foo Fighters, Rami Jeffy. And also Charlie's daughter, Katie, played violin on this track. What a great song. It was also written to benefit Neva Save Our Stages. And I'd also like to mention Charlie Overbey. He's got a company called Lone Hawk Hats. He had also did a huge fundraiser right in the middle of this whole pandemic to help raise money for the Navajo Nation. Artists who have purchased Charlie's hats over the last decade or so decided they were going to sign all these hats and donate them back to Charlie, and they auctioned these hats off, and they raised over $100,000 for the Navajo Nation. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. Charlie, thank you for all you do. Thank you to all the musicians who play on your singles and your albums. We appreciate each and every one of you. So once again, the Metal Bob Live Podcast Song of the Year goes to Mr. Charlie Overbey for Ode to John Prine. Congratulations, brother. All right, so let's get to it. Album of the Year. We have 3 to announce. We got number 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to start in that order. Work our way to the number 1 album. This was tough, man, because all 3 albums on this list, any of them could have been the top album. And it was not an easy decision. They're all great, in their own way. And any of them could have been number 1. But there can only be one at the Metal Bob Live Podcast. Anyway, enough of that joking around. So here we go. The number 3 album of the year from the Metal Bob Live Podcast for the year 2020 goes to Stryper, Even the Devil Believes. Michael and the boys never disappoint. Another great release. with songs like From Blood From Above, Make Love Great Again, Middle Finger Messiah. This album smokes from beginning to end. That once again, the number 3 album from the Metal Bob Live podcast for the year 2020 goes to Stryper for Even the Devil Believes. That brings us to album number 2. And before I get any further, this album was producer Jeremiah Kalleck's pick, actually, for the top spot. So this was his favorite album. So I told him I'd throw that out there. Jeremiah, I know this was your favorite. So the number 2 album from the Metal Bob Live podcast for the year 2020 goes to the band Black Swan for the album Shake the World. What a great lineup on this album. Supergroup from beginning to end. Vocalist Robin McCauley from the Michael Schenker Group. He also played in Survivor for a while. Guitarist Reb Beach from Winger, who was also in Dokken. Bassist Jeff Pilson from Dokken, who is currently touring with Foreigner. Drummer Matt Starr from Mr. Big and is currently with Ace Frehley. What a great lineup. Great album. Shake the World, Big Disaster, Sacred Place, just to name a few of the tracks. Check it out. Great album on Frontier Records. Once again, the number 2 album for the Metal Bob Live podcast for the year 2020 goes to Black Swan for Shake the World. And now that brings me to the Metal Bob Live podcast 2020 album of the year, number 1. The number 1 album goes to Kings of Dust. I was super stoked when I heard this album. From beginning to end, this thing is just straight up an ass kicker. No doubt about it. The lineup is amazing. You got Michael Beck on vocals, Greg Chason on bass, Ryan McKay on the guitar, Jimmy Taft on drums. What a great album these guys put out. And rumor has it, there's another one almost in the bag, so I cannot wait. Songs like an Ocean, Upon Reflection, which is my favorite tune on that whole record. What's the Other, and Keep the Spirit Alive. Yeah, I promise you, if you put this album in and crank it up to 10, it'll blow the doors off any joint. So once again, congratulations to Kings of Dust for the Metal Bob Live podcast 2020 Album of the Year. Let's get Michael Beck on the phone.
Michael.
Michael Beck, how you doing? Metal Bob here, brother.
Hey, man. How are you?
I'm great, man. We just announced you guys as the Metal Bob Live Podcast 2020 Album of the Year.
Dude, that's so cool. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, brother, man. How you doing, man? Anything you want to say to the fans?
Well, new year, new opportunities. Album number 2 is in the works. We'll probably be recording sometime this spring. It's a day-by-day process at this point.
Absolutely, man. It was our honor to announce you guys as the number 1 album of 2020, man. I love that album. Me and you talked before. It's just a fabulous album. Congrats to you and Greg, Ryan, and Jimmy, man. You guys made one hell of a record.
I'm sure I'm speaking for all the guys and saying we so appreciate that. It's it's a lot of work to put a record together, and you kind of do it for yourself, but you always hope that people get what you're saying and what you're doing. And I'm so glad you and your fan base has. It's really been great, and I can say from all of us that we appreciate it for sure.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's and you know what I was talking a little bit earlier with my producer, and I'm just like, man, these guys haven't even had a chance to get out there and promote this first record, and by the time they do, they're going to have 2 albums out to promote, and I think that just kills.
Yeah, and you're right. You're right on the nose. I mean, we have not played a single live show ever. So to say that we are chomping at the bit to do that and looking forward to doing so would be a pretty big understatement.
Yeah, I mean, if this second album, which I know it is going to be anything like the first album, it's just going to destroy stuff, man. I can't even imagine hearing this stuff live. I'm in my head. I can. I'm just like, this is going to be amazing.
Well, we've obviously played it live in rehearsal, and it's a different animal. It's you recording and live are two different animals. So you're writing the whole thing that it's the same but different for sure. It's we are so anxious to take it out there, and you're right. We're going to be probably going to be toured on 2 records, and I can't wait for everybody to hear the second one, because we're going to do 8 songs on the new record, and we decided we were going to write 15, and we're about 12 in. So
nice. Yeah, I'm looking so forward to seeing you guys on the road this year. I really hope that happens, and I know it will happen. I know it will happen. So.
I am. What's that phrase? I am cautiously optimistic.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough, buddy. Yeah, and once again, Kings of Dust, Album of the Year, Metal Bob Live podcast. Michael, I appreciate everything you guys have done. I appreciate you taking your time out of your day to be on the show and just acknowledge that. And, man, brother, I don't have nothing to say but thank you.
Well, right back at you, man. I mean, we so appreciate you and your fan base and everybody that's dug the record and said so and messaged us and it's finally now on iTunes. I can announce that now. So nice. If you have iTunes and there's been a lot of people asking for it, and of course our plans for the year just kind of went awry. So we finally decided that it's got to go. So as of this year, you can get it on iTunes. So download it, take a listen, and hopefully they hear what you hear.
They got to. And and there was even an argument for Song of the Year, Upon Reflection, man. That was
nice.
That was in there, man. I mean, I had to kind of throw it around a little bit, but man, that song was right there for Song of the Year too, brother. I mean, wow, that's a great song.
It's hard to pick a favorite, but that's one of them.
Yeah, that album. I mean, from beginning to end, it's really hard to pick one that you like the best because they're all great. It's been a long time since I've listened to an album like that from beginning to end. Just had my total attention.
I so appreciate that, man. I mean, we all really do. It's like I say, it's great when you make a record and people seem like they get it. People seem like they understand what you're saying. People seem like they get what we're trying to do. And we are so fortunate to be in that position where people just have really embraced it. And it's a great thing. I mean, it doesn't get better than that.
It does not. Well, Michael, man, I appreciate you, Greg, Ryan, Jimmy, all you guys for everything you do. I hope to have you back on in the future when the new album comes out. Congratulations on being the Metal Bob Live Podcast 2020 Album of the Year. And just kudos to you guys, man. Appreciate you.
Rock and roll.
All right, Michael. You have a good night, man. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night, man.
Have a good one, man.
You too, brother. Thank you. I'll be in touch.
Yep.
Bye. That concludes today's episode of the Metal Bob Live podcast. Please check our webpage for sponsor links and the latest Metal Bob gear. Thank you for listening. Metal Bob out.